guys, welcome to Consume the Goodness. My name is Kendra. I'm a certified lifestyle and weight management coach, and this channel is all about hopefully giving you guys some helpful, uplifting, motivating encouragement, and I just want to be a light for Jesus while I'm doing all of those things. Alright, so today, just like I said last week, I am going to talk a little bit about stress, and more specifically, I'm going to talk about cortisol and the effects, like what it does when our stress levels are really high. Man, I hope the wind isn't like blowing in the microphone on my phone. And let's try. I guess I'll just record it again if I have to. But I'm going to be talking about our stress levels and what happens when our stress levels are really high, like for long periods of time, day after day, long periods of time, overwhelming, have overwhelming sense of just, or I guess just being overwhelmed. You're stressed out day after day. It's chronic. It's nonstop. So what happens when that happens? Well, our cortisol levels go up. Now, some stress is fine. Some stress is, it's okay. Our bodies, our cortisol hormone, it is made to handle those types of things. And I'm trying not to get so boring. Like I wanted to talk about stress and talk about the effects of stress on our bodies without getting super like too much, boring, I guess. Some people might think it's like boring detail, or talking about like our sympathetic and parasympathetic responses and all, and then start using like a bunch of different medical terminologies. And I wanted to try to talk about stress in a way that didn't go into that type of stuff, but in a more fun, I guess, way. And so that is what I'm going to be trying to do here today, because I want to make you guys laugh, because that's part of a healthy lifestyle too, is laughing. Okay, so when we are in a long duration of high stress, like under high stress all the time, our cortisol levels are going to increase. The cortisol is mostly known as the stress hormone. Like it does more than just that, but right now for this video specifically, we're just talking about stress and what it will do, what it does to our bodies. And even if we are handling it fine, like some people, maybe they have a ridiculously crazy stressful day-to-day life, at work and at home and at like every little thing you do. Maybe it's like so stressful, but you're like, yeah, but I feel fine. Like I'm used to it. It doesn't bother me. It's a lot of stress, but I enjoy my work. And okay, but it's still stress. Like even if we handle it fine, and I'm definitely guilty of this for sure. There are so many times where, especially because I'm like super stubborn, so my husband will be like, you have all of this stuff that you're doing, so no wonder your body is feeling how it's feeling. No wonder all this stuff is happening. I'm like, yeah, but I feel fine. Like even though I know better, I still say it. I don't know why. And then I laugh, and then he looks at me like, oh my gosh, why are you like this? Anyway, so even when we're like, I'm fine though. Like I'm fine. I feel fine. Yeah, there's a lot going on, but I'm fine. I'm still laughing every day. I'm handling it perfectly fine. Yeah, that's great. But our bodies, the high stress and all of it, it's still affecting our bodies. Even if we are saying, I'm fine, like I still feel fine. Okay, yeah, but it's still affecting your body. Okay, so our cortisol levels should be like a, good maintained normal level. You can have low cortisol, which, that'll probably make you like really tired and different types of things like that, like super lethargic. But today we're talking about the high stress, high cortisol levels. So what is that like? I was thinking of ways to do this. How can I make a video with the small amount of time that I have? How can I put this into a skit somehow? Like how can I illustrate high stress and high cortisol? And I had a few things going through my mind, like, okay, I can be the stressed person and then be like, oh, no, like have kind of showing what it does to my body. But then I decided I was going to be cortisol and show it that way. So I had a few different characters, a few whatever, and this is what I landed on. So what happens when our stress levels get to a crazy high, like chronic point? What is the cortisol doing in our bodies? I imagine that it's something like this. Oh, at those long drawn out stress days. Time for me to kick in overtime. So, what do we want to do first? Let's start with some inflammation, yeah? Oh yeah, that'll get the joints aching. Boom! Oh, and you know what else we can do with all this extra cortisol? I'm gonna suppress the immune system. We'll get her sick. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Oh, let's make her head hurt. Let's turn it into a migraine, because that's more fun. Boom! Let's give her some mood swings, make her look like a psycho. And you know what? While we're at it with the headaches, while we're in that region, we're gonna go with some brain fog. Brain fog, boom, send it off to the brain. Oh, up to the brain. And so she can't think. She's gonna be like blank and not productive at all. All right, so we did brain fog. She's gonna be forgetful and all that good stuff. What else can we do with all this cortisol? It's gonna be a good time. Let's mess with her belly. Okay, so she can't digest her food. That means not absorbing her vitamins. That means not absorbing the minerals and the food and all the nutrients like it should. And boom, digestion issues. This is the big one. I'm gonna make some glucose. I'm gonna make sugar out of anything. This girl doesn't even eat sugar. And she really doesn't eat the carbs either, but I'm gonna make it anyway. I am gonna make and release glucose. I'm gonna make it from her muscles. I'm gonna make it from her proteins and her fats. I'm just gonna turn everything into sugar. Sugar. And you know what that's gonna do? Our insulin's going up. Turn everything into glucose. Glucose party! Yay! That's gonna increase the insulin because I'm releasing all the glucose. And you know what that means? Fat. A fat belly. Belly, fat. And up here in the upper back, fat. Back boobs. That's what I'm gonna give her. All right, she's gonna have a muffin top and she's gonna have some back boobs because when the insulin goes up, the fat accumulation is gonna go around the belly and in the upper back area. So let's make her fat too. Oh, and she can't sleep. Let's mess with her Z's, brah. Now she's gonna have crazy sleep schedule. She's not gonna get the sleep she needs and she's gonna wake up and I'm gonna do the cycle all over again till she finally does something to make me go back down. All right, so now we have an idea of what cortisol is doing inside of our bodies, how it affects our bodies when we stay super high stress, like for for long durations. So as we can see, it's not so great. Stress can do so many things. When we are high stress, our faces can break out. We can break out in hives or like joint pain. You would think, okay, well, if I'm stressed out, then the things it'll probably affect, like it'll make me cranky and maybe I won't be able to sleep because I have all these things running through my mind all the time. It goes so much farther than that. As you can see, it affects like anything really. When our cortisol levels are super high, it can have our joints hurting more, and we may have stuff going on like medical issues where that's already a part of it, joint pain, but it will be much worse if our cortisol levels are high. And inflammation, just being like really swollen and all that kind of stuff, that can be from stress, like all these different things. So now we have an idea of what happens when we stay high stress. There's that, and of course I don't want to just leave it at that, like this is what it's like when stress is high, so don't have high stress. I will give you like a few ideas, just different things that can help. And you guys let me know when you are super stressed out, what are things that you guys do that help you, you know, take a deep breath and calm back down and get relaxed. Like what are some things that you can think of that you can do or that you already do when you're super stressed out? Let us know in the comments, because maybe somebody is going to be reading what you do and they'll be like, oh hey, yeah, I'm going to try that. But some different things we can do. So you have like your breathing exercises, meditating, things like that, but also just at any point in time in the day, what are things that you can think of to do? Some things to also keep in mind, what can I actually control? And is this even something to be upset about? Thinking, how big of a deal is this? Is this even that big of a deal? Like I'm getting all worked up over something and it's not even that big of a deal. Tomorrow, it's just gonna be in the past. It's gonna be this annoying thing that I had to deal with for 2 minutes of a day. Like, is it even worth getting worked up about? So asking yourself that. Is it even worth getting worked up about? And if the answer is yes, this is definitely something to get worked up about. Like this is not a small thing, this is a big deal. Okay, well then ask yourself, okay, how can I handle this? Because being all stressed out and scatterbrained and everything, that is not gonna help you. It's not productive. And you know, a solution is not gonna come up from that. But also looking at what you are consuming. what we eat, definitely, it still does have an effect on our health or on our stress. I know some people are probably going to hate that I'm going to say this, but actually, like, cutting down the carbs, it really does help, because eating a lot of carbohydrates and eating a lot of sugar, that does mess with your mood, and it messes with your sleep, and it messes with your hormones. If you are someone who's like, no, that's not true. I will tell you, I learned, like, this is what my schooling, all of this was in that, and I was taught that, have a lot of carbs, that's where your energy comes from, all that kind of stuff. But that's very, I would say, surface. It's when I finally started digging in deeper, and I don't just read it and say, okay, I know it, I memorized it, I have knowledge of it, so I know it now. No, I'm gonna put it to practice. So the way that I used to eat, I did lose weight and I felt okay, but when I started to, like, I do like no actual sugar, no added sugars, none of that crap, and seriously cut the carbs back. Like, I take what you learn and apply it and see if you notice a difference, and I did. So actually cutting that down seriously helps, cutting down the sugars and carbs. But okay, so what else can you control? What you consume, so there's that, what you're eating, what you're listening to, what you're watching on TV, just what you are consuming. Consume goodness. It will help with your stress levels. So if you're watching stuff on TV, like the news, because that's always a big one, or even just certain TV shows, reality TV shows, if you're watching stuff that just keeps you irritated, like whatever you're watching, you think that people are idiots, or you just don't agree with what they're saying at all, or it makes you mad, or it makes you really worried. Every time you watch this show or the news or whatever, this movie or whatever, it starts to make you feel anxious, or you feel really worried, you're afraid, you're whatever. Don't watch that stuff anymore. You have control over that, so cut that crap out. If you are watching a video on YouTube and what they're saying, just you can't stand it, stop watching it. You don't have to watch the entire thing. You don't have to leave a negative comment, down below. You don't have to do that. You choose to do that. And if it's something that irritates you and you're like, oh my gosh, no, and you start leaving a comment or whatever, you're angry, you're mad, don't do that. Just don't. Just say, oh, I don't like this, so I'm going to walk away from it, We have the ability to do that. If we don't like something, we can walk away from it, for the most part. I know you have like certain situations, whatever, but for the most part, we get to control what we are taking in. Oh, let's see. Having a different perspective about things, changing your point of view, even if it's like being stuck in traffic. If you're just like, I just want to get home. Like, I'm tired. I'm sitting here in this parking lot on the freeway and I just want to go home. And that's all you can think of. Start thinking about, okay, this is where you are. Just, try to learn to have peace about things. Like, okay, this is where I am. Is it where I want to be? No, it sucks, but you know what? Sometimes we are in places we don't want to be in. So how can I make the best of this? And listen to music that makes you happy. That's like really upbeat, whatever, happy music. Or pray in that moment. Or just, something to kind of switch your perspective, switch your mood around. Let's see, what else can you do if you are, just to try to help like reduce the stress? Look at everything that you do in a day on a regular basis, everything that you have going on, see what you can cut out, what can be completely removed, what can be adjusted, what can be cut down, what can be rearranged. Maybe something that you're doing at a specific time in the morning or in the afternoon, it is like everything's hitting all at once. At that time, it's always super, super busy right then and at that time. Like, right, was from 7 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock in the morning. It is ridiculous. Okay, well, what's going on from 7 to 10? What in those hours are you doing that can maybe be moved to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, where it's a little bit, quieter in your house or whatever? Stuff like that, rearranging your schedule. And maybe just finding something. I don't necessarily want to say as a distraction, because I don't think that distracting yourself from the stuff that's going on is very helpful. Maybe right in that moment it might be helpful because you're not thinking about it, but in the long run, all the stuff that's going on, what you're feeling inside, it may just build and build and build, and it's just probably not going to have a very good outcome. So I would say maybe not as a distraction, but finding something to do. And even in that time, like if it's going for a walk or a bike ride or during your workout, if you're maybe just analyzing, thinking about all the stuff that's going on, and then maybe in that time, maybe that's a better time for you to try to say, okay, well, instead of problem solving, that's what I'm trying to say in those times, but also just something you can do, a hobby, just anything. Journaling is very helpful, but drawing or painting or sewing or knitting. Getting outside is very nice. Going for a walk outside, hiking, sometimes going for a drive is very relaxing for people. If you play an instrument, maybe playing an instrument, maybe learning how to do an instrument. I don't know, that might add stress. Board games with your family or watching a movie with your family. Those are just some different things that you can do if you're feeling very stressed to help bring your cortisol levels down, because it's just not good for our bodies. It really does affect our bodies. Even if it starts off not so great, we can still do something to change it in the middle of it. So like for probably since November, we've been having just a lot of really hard hits going on for our family, with a lot of things involving us, our family. Not all bad things, but things dealing with our family and our house and our business. And then a lot of smaller things, just super busy stuff, much more busy than usual since November. And it hasn't been like, it's been steady, but it hasn't been steady, like consistently, this is the high, like this is where it normally is, this is where it is now. No, it's been like up and then kind of come down, up. So instead of thinking of, I don't know, as a coach, I kind of suck. My husband reminds me all the time, like, what would you tell a client if you were in a weigh-in right now and you had a client who was in there who was crazy stressed out? What would you tell them? Like, practice what you preach. And I suck at doing that sometimes. I'm thankful that he reminded me of that, because I stopped myself and said, okay, what would I tell somebody? Like, what? I'm gonna coach myself for a minute. And then I started to do those things, and it really did help. So stuff was super, super high stress, and it did get to the point where I started to have some of those things that, whatever I named her, cortisol Kathy or whatever, Kathy cortisol, what she was saying, that stuff was really, really starting to happen with my body. And it was like, okay, I seriously need to take a step back and see what I can do to get these stress levels down. I cannot change the stuff that's happening in our lives right now. I cannot, like, the stuff that's going on, it's just happening. I can't make it go away. We can't walk away from it. We can't ignore it. Can't do anything to change it, but I can change stuff with myself. So that's what I did, and it really did start to help. All right, so I think that is it for the day. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you do like the content here, then I would love it if you would subscribe and like the videos and share the channel on YouTube or on just whatever social media you have. That would be super awesome. I always appreciate it. Never ever taken for granted when you guys do that kind of stuff. Your kindness and your support is never taken for granted. So I love you guys so much. God bless, and I hope to have you back for the next one. So I'm done with workout 9 of 12, so only 3 left for this month, and then we will draw again to see what number we're gonna do for March. But I totally forgot to say exercise. Exercise is so good for stress. Exercise is good for so many things. It's good for our bodies, of course, for our bones and our hearts and our lungs, our muscles, our bodies, like our health, our strength, everything. But exercise is so good for stress. It's good for sleep, it's good for depression, it's good for anxiety. It's more than just for weight loss. It's more than just for our physical bodies, it's for our mental health too. So don't forget that.